All right, everybody, welcome back to the TuVues podcast where we talk about several different topics where you got two different views. They might be the same, they may be different, but we just here to give you some information and help you grow, to help us grow, and hopefully we can grow together. I'm Keith.
Yeah, man. I'm Kevin, man. Yeah, we're here to have fun, have some discussions, man. Talk about some great topics, man. You know how it is. The boys are back in town.
Yeah, I feel you. So, man, how the week been going, man?
Great week, so good. Everything's good, man. Life is good. Can't complain, man. I know that sound like sometimes people just say that and they still going through something, man. But right now, I'm solid. I'm solid.
Man,
How
it's the
about
best
you?
time of the year, man. It's the best time of the year. I'm gonna tell you why. It's the best time of year. First of all, um, I'm a giver, so of course with the Christmas thing, being able to serve people and give people Thanksgiving and Christmas. But man, I'm just excited to get some of mama dressing, man. I ain't
I'm
gonna
trying.
lie to
Hey,
you, bro.
she wasn't supposed to cook, man, but knowing that she making the dressing,
Listen,
I'm for it.
mama can't come and not make no dressing, and I bet Rakia gonna want her to make some broccoli and cheese. I mean,
I want to make some broccoli cheese.
mama can't come to Thanksgiving and not cook. I'm sorry, I love you, but come on, mama got the best dressing in the world, man. As long as Uncle Sterling to make the dressing, we straight.
Man, but she deserved to come sometimes and rest, though. You know what I mean? Like she
Yeah,
deserved to
yeah.
come down to chill. But I'm making the fried turkey. You know what I mean? I'm making the caramel cake.
Banging.
People think I can't make caramel cake. I'm finna surprise y'all though. I'm gonna surprise y'all with my caramel cake.
Listen, I don't eat caramel cake, man, but the one thing I'm gonna give you credit, man, man, that fried turkey banging, man.
Fire! I will never
Just give
go
me,
back, man. Once you eat fried turkey, you never go back to oven baked turkey. It's a wrap.
man. So I get your fried turkey, I get mama dressing. I'm straight. I'm good for the night. So I'm just
That's all I
excited because
need,
this.
really.
Yeah, I'm excited because this is a good time of the year, man, to be around family, man. It's just been so long, man, with everything that's going on in the world and going on in our lives, man. I'm just excited about giving opportunity to be back in the P with family, man.
Yeah, mom been in Mississippi, so yeah, good get everybody back together, man, and love on each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right, let's kick it off.
So here we go, man. We always start off with some hot topics, or not. We don't even call it. We're gonna change the name of that. We're gonna call it something else, man. But we don't call it the two views top five. Two views top five, man. I might come up with something more creative than that, but right now, that's what we're gonna call it, man. So last week we did top five lyricists of all time, top five rappers of all time. Key list was booty, but man, it is what it is.
Facts. I look back at the video. Facts. Right. You caught me off guard. You caught me off guard, though, man.
It's terrible, bro. But today, man, we're gonna do something different, man. A different top five. So we both love military movies, man. Like we were both in ROTC. I was gonna go into the Marines when I first came out of high school. Decided to go to college and play some football. Brother was a Marine. Like I'm big. The guy who got us to playing football was in Vietnam. So military is a topic that we love talking about. We love military movies. So today, man, we're gonna go with top five military movies of all time. Top five military
Yeah,
movies of
buddy.
all time.
Real
You want to
quick though,
go
I want to
first?
salute. Real
Go
quick
ahead.
though, I want to salute the veterans. I know we passed Veterans Day, man, but if ain't nobody told y'all, man, thank you for y'all service, man. I mean, this world so politicized now that we forget the people that guarantee our freedom, day in and day out, man. So salute to y'all, man. Thank y'all for y'all service.
And with that, man, the U.S. man, we can do better how we treat our veterans too. Like, man,
Amen.
bro. I used to go downtown Chicago, man, walk the streets. Almost every homeless person that sits down there, sign says former U.S. veteran. Bro, we shouldn't have our veterans on the street. But that's just like we got to do better as the U.S. how we treat our veterans, and that's just me. Just got to do better.
No, I don't think that's just you, man. But if you think of us being the number one superpower, the richest country in the world, well, that's debatable. Um, we should be able to take care of those who risk their lives, to make sure that our freedoms are secure, and that shouldn't be at a cost, right? It shouldn't be an argument of we need money for this, so we can't do that. This should be an area where we support those veterans, man, the people that take that risk, man. So I don't think there's any excuse for us not having mental health care for our vets, having easier way to get loans for homes. We just, like you said, man, we need to do better, man. These people, we owe the freedom, that we got to them, man. We're not doing enough. I mean, I was thinking about Clay on SEAL Team, man. I know it's just a fictional
Bro,
show, man, but that whole process brought to light what's going on with our veterans.
man, one day we're gonna talk about SEAL teams. I don't know if you lost saw the last
Yeah, I saw it.
episode, man, but
Yeah,
that's bro. I messaged the writers on Twitter, bro. I was so mad, bro. I'm like, y'all tripping. But anyway, top five military moves of all time, man. You going first?
yeah. I'll let you kick it off. But I guarantee, I'm telling you, bro. I guarantee we got the same number one. I guarantee we got the same.
Yeah.
We gonna push back on all the other ones, but I guarantee we got the same number one. Go.
So I'm gonna start with the bottom, man. And I love like man, like I said, I love military movies. I can watch military movies all day.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna start with my number five pick is gonna be Saving Private Ryan.
Okay.
I'm
All
gonna
right.
rock with Saving Private Ryan is my five, man. That was a good World War II movie, man. I just man, the thing about it was the detail of the movie, like the
Yeah.
way that they reenacted those situations was dope. Um, Number four, Black Hawk Down. I thought Black Hawk Down was a dope military movie
Yeah.
too. All right. And my next three can be interchangeable, but I'm gonna rock with them in the order I got them. My number three is We Were Soldiers with Mel Gibson. We Were Soldiers. That's my movie right there. I can every time that's on TV, I watch it. I watch it every time. I know the second one, Keith, you ain't got on your list. I know it ain't on
Mhm.
your list. 13 hours.
13 hours is dope. I don't that
13
13 hours
hours.
is a dope
13 hours.
movie. Not in my top five, but 13 hours is a dope movie.
13. Man, remember Benghazi. That's my movie, man.
Yeah.
After I watched that movie, I researched the whole Benghazi thing, man. That was a
Yeah.
crazy situation right there. And yeah, we might be our no ones might be at the top, man. But Act of Valor is one of the top
Yes,
military
sir.
movies of all time. And what makes that dope is they actually use real Navy SEALs in that movie. So that's what make it even more dope, man. But Act of Valor, bro, man, when they hit that corner, when they been being chased by them dudes and they hit that corner, then
Dopest
the
part,
boats come in,
man.
bro,
The dopest part of a military
dope,
movie ever. That was the
dope,
dopest
bro.
part of a military movie ever. Um.
Came in at perfect time, spraying. And at the end, man, the way the guy jumped on the bomb, jumped on the grenade and all that, it's like the sentimental aspect of it, man. It's like that's real life military.
Yeah.
That's my top five.
Yeah. So here's the thing, man. We have to let the audience give us a topic, right? Because the last few topics we've been kind of agreeing, right? And
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I thought this was going to be one where we disagreed, but man, all right. So I gotta give a honorable mention. And this a fictional movie based on a true historical event, but The Patriot. That's my honorable mention. I love The Patriot. Patriot
Mel,
was a dope
Mel
movie,
Gibson did a good one.
right?
Did a
Patriot
good one.
was a dope movie, but that's my honorable mention. But my five and four we got the same, but they're interchangeable. I got Black Hawk Down as five, and I have Saving Private Ryan as four.
Man, that's cool.
So yeah,
That's cool.
I got those and but like those can go either way, because Black Hawk Down just man, for me was a cold movie. I know we both had one that the other one didn't have. You had 13 hours as your number two, right?
My number two.
All right. So I'm gonna go to my number two before I tell my number three. My number two was your number three. We Were Soldiers. One of my favorite movies about the
Okay.
Vietnam War of all
Oh yeah.
time. Um, so that was my your number three is my number two. My number three is one I guarantee you haven't even watched. Full Metal Jacket. Full Metal Jacket is my number three. And if you ain't see it, you need to see it. You always hear people say talk about Gomer
I,
Pyle. Go ahead.
no, I have seen Full Metal Jacket, man. A lot of people say that they top military movie. I don't think it's in my top five.
Man,
It's in my top 10. I don't think it's in my
man,
top five.
Full Metal Jacket my number three. Right, I think that because I think it's the realism of what people went through during the Vietnam War. Another one of my favorite ones I can put as honorable mention is Tom Cruise's Born on the Fourth of July. If you ain't seen that, it talks about what they went through in the
I ain't seen
Vietnam
that
War.
one.
The people like he lost his legs and became a protester based on a true story. You got to see that one. But of course, our number one's the same, man. I told you, man. Act of Valor is just the realism of Act of Valor. Chills. My favorite part is just when he, like you said, when he came in spraying. They hit the water, and gunboats came in and laid the fire. But yeah, that's my top five. I got number one, Act of Valor. Two, We Were Soldiers. Three, Full Metal Jacket. Four, Saving Private Ryan. Five, Black Hawk Down, and then I got Patriot and Born on the Fourth of July as my honorable mentions. If you ain't seen Born on the Fourth of July, Kev, check it
Mhm.
out, man. Born on the Fourth of
I ain't
July.
seen Born the 4th of July, but I'm gonna check it out, man. You know I watch all military movies. I'm shocked you to have Don Kirk on there. That
Dunkirk.
was a shocker. Uh,
It's a good movie,
but
but it's not even in my top 25 military movies.
I thought Pearl Harbor was a good one too, though. I thought Pearl
Nah,
Harbor was.
Dunkirk was better
I
than
mean,
Pearl
people
Harbor.
don't like it. No, no, it's what people don't like Pearl Harbor because it was a love. They had the love part about two people. The love scene. They weren't all about the action, right? That's why people put Pearl Harbor so low. Pearl Harbor was a dope movie. That was a dope
Bro,
movie.
it's in my top 25, man, but Dunkirk bet not that, yeah.
Top 25.
It's in my top 20, man. It's a lot of good movies. I will
Bro.
put Wind Talkers over Pearl
Hey,
Harbor.
Will Tucker was good, man. What was the one with Bruce Will? Not, was it Bruce Willis? What was that one?
Tears of the Sun.
Tears of the Sun.
I
Tears of
still
the
got tw-
Sun, probably my six. Tears of the
I still
Sun was a movie.
I still got 25. I still got 25 over Tears of the Sun, man. You know I watch
No,
movies,
no,
man.
you don't. No, you don't.
Yes,
No,
I
you don't.
do.
Not over
I
Tears of the
watch,
Sun, bro.
bro.
No, you don't.
I watch movies, man.
I do
I would
too,
put
but not over Tears of the Sun, bro.
I would put American Sniper over Tears of the Sun. Uh
Oh, you law.
I would put
Oh,
what's the other one where
you tripping.
the one where he got captured by Taliban. Shoot. Man, I can
Hacksaw
name.
Ridge.
Nah,
No, I'm
Hacksaw.
talking about
I'll put Hacksaw Ridge over Tears of the Sun.
bro, you tripping. You tripping.
Man,
I'm done
listen.
talking about this topic. I'm done talking about
Okay,
you tripping.
listen.
You
And listen,
tripping.
everybody. Listen to
Hacksaw
the
Ridge?
movie. Listen to the movie buff. Listen to the movie buff. Listen to me. I'm telling you,
Oh,
man. Okay, all
I
right.
want you to remember you just said you would put Hacksaw Ridge over Tears of the Sun. I want you to remember you
Yes,
said that.
yes,
You
yes.
crazy.
Man,
You lost your
that,
mind.
we need to expand this list, man. We need the audience to come up with a list, man. We too similar. We picking stuff we kind of similar on, man.
Yeah, man, we try our best to pick something that we not. But yeah, y'all out there, if y'all listening, man, give us a topic. Y'all think we'll debate on it. We want to agree on. But we disagree on some of this stuff though. Like
Yeah.
you putting some of the stuff over to the sun. You tripping. You tripping.
You gotta think about it. When I look at military movies, I look for the historical bases in all of them. Yeah, I'm a
And
history teacher.
that's your problem.
I
Watch the
no,
movie for the movie, bro.
but I think that's what you're missing. I balance the movie, the acting, the soundtrack, and the historical accuracy. You just like it was a good
Man,
movie.
man, bro. Good theatrical movie that depicts how military truly is. Like, it can't be no movie where it's good theatrical, but it doesn't depict like how military people think and how they are. It's got to depict
Well,
all that entire concept.
if that's the way you're going about it, Hacksaw Ridge is over Tears of the Sun. If
Yeah,
that's your explanation, Hacksaw Ridge is better than Tears of the Sun. I mean,
bro.
anyway,
Tears
man.
of the Sun, Tears of the Sun. Those military dudes, that group of military people had to make quick decisions what they need to do at the one time. It put them in a position where they had to make a quick time decision, and they
Man,
lost people in the
listen,
field. That's more theatrical than Hansel Ridge to me. Yeah, he was going back trying to help
listen.
people up that dang rope, man. But man, whatever, because
Zero
he didn't
Dark
want to shoot a
30.
gun.
Dark 30 was better than Tears of the Sun.
No, it wasn't. But Zero Dark 30 was better than Hacksaw Ridge.
Man,
Keith, this man didn't want to shoot a gun.
yeah, that's the whole point.
Exactly. He was going back saving people. Man, I ain't trying to hear all that. That ain't
It's a
realistic.
tr-
I mean, it
it's
was
a
it
true
was
it's
based
a
on a true
true
story.
story.
I know, I know, it was based on a true story. But still, man, like how often you heard that happen? You go back, you pull the
but
people up, and you
but
don't want to shoot a gun. Man,
but
please.
that's what make it dope though. That's what make it dope.
To you, it was a good movie. I'm not saying it wasn't a good movie, But to put it over to the sun, you have lost your
100,
mind.
100%, 100%, without a doubt.
Okay. Agree to disagree.
We can do that.
Yeah, so
So what's up, man?
that's what it is, man. That's our top five.
Yes, sir.
All right, here we go. Let's jump into this topic, man. So today, man, we're gonna discuss a topic that's directly connected to us as we feel like and we'll get more detail why we feel like we can talk about this topic, but we're gonna talk about how to become a good man. Especially with us having young boys, as both of us having young boys, I think this is a good topic, and both of us been mentors to the youth in the past. This is a good mentor, good subject for us to discuss on how to become a good man, so how we maneuver in that aspect, and how we teach others how that we are um, connected to in order to walk in a way of being chivalrous and being upright and a good man in the world.
If you don't mind, man, I want to flip it, because I want it to be what it means to be a good man, right? And the reason why I say that is because when we say how to become, I don't want to get the assumption that we've already arrived, right? We're still a
That's
work in progress, right?
that's true.
Ain't nowhere close, man. We haven't arrived at all, and so it's just, well, like, what I want us to discuss what it means to be a good man, because what what our perception of what a good man is versus what another group or women or society believes a good man is completely different. So we want to consolidate that into uh, categories and steps that can take us in that in that area. Because it is a dying art, a dying process that I think we can bounce back from. But I don't want it to seem like that we've arrived, because I know me personally, and I'll get into more personal stuff about that. I'm a long ways away, right? But
Yeah,
I do know what it takes to be. But I'm a long way away.
yeah, and some people might ask us, what gives us the right to have this discussion, right? And I'm gonna speak for myself. What gives me the right to have this conversation is three things, or two things really. I've had to mentor and love certain young boys to get them to go in the right direction. And the main reason why I think we can have this discussion is because of failure, right?
Hmm.
There's areas we didn't do well in that we got educated on, and we could think about and process and lead people into another direction that they don't need to go in order to become that or want to be great in a certain area, being an upright man in society. So our failures gives us the right.
Yeah.
So
And you so right. I'm glad you mentioned that, because it is. I think what puts us in a position to be able to have the discussion is our failures. It's that's 100%. It isn't that we are great men and we've done these great things. It's because we failed. But not only that we failed and adjust. We failed, and we continue to fall and try to and adjust, right? It's we understand that that this whole thing is a process, and it's not final, right? There's no finality to this process. It's something. There's upkeep, like your lawn. There's upkeep, right? But I want to say, from my personal side, when somebody said, "What gives you the right, or thinks you're in a position that you can talk like this, or what gives you the qualifications to have the discussion?" I don't. I don't have the qualification. I don't want it to make it seem like that I am a professional in what are the categories and the makeup of a good man. Um, but I think what gives us the position to do that is that the willingness to talk about it, right, and not be defensive and to be vulnerable, right. I think that's what makes us puts us in a position to have this conversation. So often it's what it takes, what it means to be a good man is a debate. There's no debate in that, in my opinion. There's no
Yeah,
debate in the makeup, the structure of a good man, because we all can be good men with different components, different personalities, different makeups. And so I'm not a professional in what would make you a great man based with your personality, but I know what some foundational pieces, and I know some of the mistakes that I've made. I know some of the mistakes that I continue to make that I don't want other people to make.
yeah. It's like if you think of and if you think of it this way, it's like a tree, right? All trees are have one foundational thing, right? They have a trunk base and roots where they get their nutrients, right? But each tree can deliver something different. Some walnuts, some apples, some oranges, right? But the foundation is what's the same. Foundation. What makes it a tree is its foundation, right? And what it produces. So, yeah, man, I'm not perfect by far. Y'all know my slogan. Y'all know what I said. Full disclosure, right? I'm far from it, but I have the foundational pieces to get back on the right track when I do slip up, when I do certain things. I have that core in me to where, you know what, I'm not processing the right fruit. I can adjust, because I have that core foundation in me.
You just summed up the podcast, man. We can go home now, because you said that you have the foundation to adjust, and that's what it's about. I think we have this idea of perfectionism when it comes to being a good man, and that's okay. If you don't mind, I kind of want to start there, because this is not only a discussion that I want to have with men, but men, women, and society, right? And I guarantee people are going to not necessarily disagree with this, but you're gonna hear some, nuh I don't believe that. When the fact that mentally we do. There is this thought process that to be a good man, or for a man to be good, both from the outside looking in, from the man and from the woman's perspective, there's a perfection assumed, right? There's an assumed perfection, right? And you say people, if you talk to women, say, I want my man to have this, this, and this, and this. He doesn't have to have everything, but he needs to have these. However, we tend to judge our significant others or the people that we're talking to based on some of the things or qualities that we didn't say is necessary for them to have, right? So, and with that, it's like there's a perfection. Like you have to be this perfected man, right? And that's not the case. You don't need to be a perfected man to be great, and we have to separate those things. I think
So
Tyler Perry's 80-20 rule is a perfect example of that.
one thing I want to add on to that a little bit is Keith just said we don't have to be perfect, and we never will be, right? No matter what, we never will be. What our goal in our thought process should always be to aim for perfection, right? To aim for it, right? We're never going to be it, right? We shoot for it, but we're never going to be it. But if we don't aim for something great, it limits us, right? It puts
Hmm.
us in a position where we never seek to attain our greatest height, our greatest possibility, because we're like, you know what, I'm never gonna be perfect. So it's like shooting at the bullseye. I'm never gonna hit the
Right.
bullseye. So let me just try my best to hit the outer ring.
Yeah.
No, aim for the bullseye.
Right.
And if you happen to hit the outer ring, you hit the board, right? Well, I'm aiming for perfect. I'm aiming for the bullseye. I'm aiming to be the best husband, the best kid, the best whatever, best mentor. I'm aiming for that. I'm not gonna be perfect every time, but I'm still seeking that, right? And this is what I believe on it.
Yeah, but I think but you 100%, and that's why I said made that statement before, because there's components to this thing. I think us as men, we have to aim for that. Whether we miss and fails, like darts, we throwing darts at a dartboard, right? And we trying to get that, but we trying to get a certain number, right? It's not necessarily hitting a bullseye, right? And so I think, but on the other side, I don't want there to be an assumption of perfection. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely,
There's an
absolutely.
assumption of perfection, Um, when I will never be perfect. I will never be the perfect man. Not going to happen. I have so many qualms and issues. I will never be the perfect man. But I aim to be. I aim to be that person. And I'm going to fall 1,000 times. But I aim for that. So I just wanna just set the groundwork that there is an assumption of perfection. And that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, and let's not touch that 80-20 yet, because I think when we start talking about relationships, we
Relationship,
gonna we
yeah.
gonna dive a little deeper into that 80-20. But yeah, if you want
Yeah,
to
I
go
don't
into it, we
yeah,
can a little bit. But I think when we
uh,
get to that the relationship podcast, 80-20 gonna come to discussion.
yeah, and I didn't
So
I wasn't planning on talking about 80/20. I'm with you. I think that comes back to the relationship piece. But I want to jump in. Kevin say full disclosure. I want to do a little full disclosure, man. And I just want to make sure I'm on that same page with Kevin with being vulnerable. I think the one thing about this podcast we strive to do is be vulnerable. Um, and I will sit here in front of you and say, um, there was a time where I was not a good guy, right? I had the perception and the viewpoint of the good guy, and I'll just be in that full transparency. At the beginning of my marriage, I was not a good husband. I was not. The first 2 years of my marriage, I made so many mistakes, um, emotional affairs, infidelity. Um, there were so many mistakes because um, and I'll get to why in a second. And I guarantee it's not going to be an excuse because they're so easy for us to make excuses um, for why we weren't us. And so I was never a good guy. I was a chivalrous guy. I write the love poetry. I believe in chivalry, opening the car doors, and all this other stuff. But on the flip side, I was not a good guy, right? Um, and I've had to make amends to people, women in my past where I just wasn't a good guy. But when I started the process to jump that get to that route, say what's the man I wanted to be, right? You know what I did, and this is the key. I want to make sure men hear this and women, anybody. If you're not who you want to be, I want you to hear this. I did it for me. That's first. I did it for me, right? So often when I was trying to fix who I was, right, I was doing it to save a relationship, save a marriage, save embarrassment, right? Save future friction, right? The goal is always to save something, not to become a better me. That's where it has to start. If you want to know what it means to be a good man and you want to approach being a good man, it has to start with you wanting to be a better you for you, nobody else. And you have to be willing to risk it all. You have to be willing to say, if this person walks out of my life forever, that's okay. You have to be, and I would say I was willing to risk it all and say, hey, if my wife walked out of my life forever, that's okay. Because I caused the damage, I caused the harm. She has that right, she has that ability. And so in order to go on this process, or in order to thrive in this process, you have to do it for you. It's that simple.
100% because at the core of anything in your life, let's think about it just logically. Let's think about it just in your own life. Like at the core of everything in your life, what is at the core of everything in your life? You. The core
Yeah.
of everything in your life is you, right? If you're not the man you're supposed to be, not just relationship, but with your kids, with the people you come in contact with in society, if you are not comfortable with you, if you're not good with you, everything that's attached to you will die. Everything that's attached to you will be will decay and become bad, and you'll just feed this poison to every branch of your life, because at the core, like we talked about earlier, the foundation is off. The foundation is wrong. The foundation makeup is not what it should be. And that foundation, the core, is you. You can't blame anything, any situation in your life. If you can't look back on it and say, where could I have done better? I don't care if it could be a situation where you are completely in the right.
Mm-hmm.
Completely in the right. But sometimes you still got to go look back, okay, and look at your steps and the way you moved and say, what could I have done different? And it might be you might go and look at something like that and be like, there's nothing I could have done. But the point is, you took the process, the steps to say, okay, let me point it back to me real quick, and then once I can take it away from me and know that I'm not the issue, now I can see things for what they are. But you still always got to bring it back to you. Instead, what we do a lot, man, in not just relationship, but in life in general, we always want to point the finger. We
Yep.
always want to point the
Always.
finger. Like we gotta come back to the point where point the finger at myself first. How could I have been different? And then once you figure that out, then you can figure everything else out. But as long as we keep pointing those fingers and trying to blame somebody else for why, like blame our dad for why we went down this road, or blame our mom for why we went down this road, we never get to the root, which is me. I'm the root.
Yep.
I'm
And
the foundation, right?
it's I can tell you unequivocally that every time I did it for somebody besides me, I failed. Every single time. 100% of the time when I wanted to make that change, I'm like, I know who I am, I know who I can be. Every time I did it for somebody else, I failed. That's whether it's my a girlfriend, a wife, a kid. I failed every 100% of the time. So what it happened to me when I started the journey, because like you said, we always talk chivalry, we always talk being a great man, what it means to be chivalrous and loving and compassionate and have passion, and we've always had that in us as young men and as men, right? But we've made mistakes. But one thing it helped me do by saying, look, Keith, you have to do this for you, and you have to be willing to lose everything to get to that point, was it made me start seeing like what are the holes in here that I need to address, right? And I had the daddy issues that was my hole, right? But the problem wasn't the daddy issues, it was my neglect of addressing it, right? So it was I neglected to address that. And I'm telling you, man, I mean it was the best feeling in the world. I said, you know what, Keith, let's do this. Let's do this. How old I was 20, 20, what was I, 25, 28, 28 maybe? 27, 28. And I was like, you know what? This is what I'm gonna do. I have these daddy issues that I won't deal with, I haven't dealt with in me. Right. And there was a hole here. And if I wanted to start the process to be a great man, I have to deal with that. And so what I did is I wrote a letter to my dad and I said, Keith, I went to the mailbox. I said, Keith, when you put this in the mail, you have to let it go. All that hurt, all those daddy issues, when you put this in the mail, you have to let it go. I put that letter in the mail and I let it go. And that was the beginning of setting my foundation of like this is on my track to become the man that I needed to be for me. But it created an opportunity for me to see that we gotta, like you said, we gotta stop blaming situations and societies, because once we know that those are the issues and we choose not to deal with them in us, it's our fault. And it became my fault when I decided not to deal with it, and it changed when I decided to deal with it.
Yeah. So and with that, let's start like let's say it from here. Like let's start talking about what's the fight for foundational aspects of being a good man, or trying to make what's the makeup of it, right? So I think in all these stories and what we're saying is that one of the key components is self awareness, right?
Yeah.
One of the key foundational pieces is self awareness, understanding where we are, understanding that we're not perfect, understanding that we have certain issues, and trying to deal with those problems. So being self aware of who you are, what you are, why you are is a key foundational component
Mm.
to becoming a good man, to build yourself to be um, that great person. So self awareness, man, that it's a key to this process.
And it's gonna hurt, right? Self When you first become self aware, it hurt. You feel like crap, right? It's your rock bottom because you realize, man, I'm a piece of I'm worthless. Like
Yeah,
and that's not for all men, but for some of us, when we become self aware, a lot of times we feel like crap. Like we feel like it becomes a weight, like guilt, hurt, like one of those terrible feelings is gonna come. Guilt, hurt, like it's going to come. You're not going to become self aware and be like, oh wow, rainbows and unicorns. No, you're gonna be like, man. So the first when you become self aware, it's. I think a lot of us are afraid of it, right? I think we're afraid of because we're these tough guys, that we're these strong guys, that we're afraid of what's going to come out of that self awareness. But I'm telling y'all, it's the first step. It's the first step to greatness.
yeah, 100% agree. And we talk about how there's a mentality that you have. So once you become self aware, right? You then create a mentality, you create a thought process and you start building, um, you start putting things together to create this mentality of how to be this great man, right? And we always hear about the three P's, right? But we always hear about the three P's and the concept of, um, first let me talk, before I get to the three P's, we got to carry ourselves a certain way as men, right? It's
Yeah.
the way we carry ourselves, and not just in public, but behind closed doors is important to being a good man, right? Because however you are behind closed doors, right, it comes out in public, right? It comes out in front of people, right? So having the right mentality, having the right thought process, helps us carry ourselves as upright men, right? And like you said earlier, that's different for every man, right? But the foundational pieces are different, right? The foundational pieces are different. So I'm going back to these three P's. We hear it all the time in relationship. Um, to protect, provide, and profess, right? We hear all times about what you're supposed to do in your relationship, but protecting, providing, professing are foundational key points of being a good man, but not just in relationships. Not just
Mm.
with your mate, right? That's not a mate. Those are not mate foundational pieces. Those are life principles, right? As
Yes.
men, we must protect, we must provide, we must profess our love for our children, for anybody that's part of our life, to even just a common person on the street, right? Those would be core foundational pieces of who we are as a man, right? Um, if I see a guy beat a girl on the street, I don't walk away from that. It's hard for me too, right? It's hard for me too, because it ain't like I'm gonna go over there and start fighting a guy, but I'm gonna see if I can stop that situation. If it comes to me having to him this dude up, I will, man, because by my very nature, I'm a protector, right? And I'm a provider. I go to work so my son can eat, right? So my son can have things, right? Um, and providing is just not going to work, man. It's stuff you do around the house. It encompasses so much more than going to work. And some men get this one wrong so often. We think going to work is providing.
Yep.
Going to work isn't, or just going to work is not providing, man. It's a lot more to that concept, right? And then professing, man, we should always tell people that we love them. We should
Mm.
always tell people we love them.
Hey, man, I need you to say it again. Like, even though we talked about relationships and mistakes made in relationships and having to do this for ourselves. Being a good man is relationships is only a piece of the pie. This is
It's a
this has
piece.
to be who we are as men from the time we wake up to the time we go to sleep. It's about how we treat our coworkers. It's about how we treat the person who's on a cash register at the grocery store. It's about taking care of our fellow man. All right. This is not this. This will be very beneficial for your relationship, right? Be very beneficial.
Absolutely.
But if you only operate as a good man in your relationship, well, like Kevin said in the previous podcast, you're failing. Like he said in the other podcast, you're failing, right? And this has to be a lifestyle outside, inside and outside of relationship. This has to be absorbed in you.
Yeah, man.
So
Hey, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
no, no, you go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was gonna jump to chivalry. If you got
Well,
something else to say, go and say. Because I'm just gonna jump to chivalry.
yeah, because but this is going to kind of like lead you into chivalry because I don't know if you remember this poem, this not poem, but this saying from John Walter Wayne. I just want to read it. And if you want a copy of it, anybody, I can send it to you. And it's called The True Gentleman. He says, "The true gentleman is the man whose conduct proceeds from goodwill and acute sense of propriety, and whose self control is equal to all emergencies, who does not make the poor man conscious of his poverty, the obscure man of his obscurity, or any man of his inferiority or deformity, who is himself humble and is and who himself is humble if necessity compels him to humble another, who does not flatter wealth, cringe before power, or boast of his own possessions or achievement, who speaks with frankness, but always of sincerity and sympathy, whose deed follows his word, who thinks of rights, and feelings of others rather than his own, and who appears well in any company, a man whom honor is sacred and virtue is safe." One of my favorite sayings of all time about what it means to be a gentleman. And even in that saying by John Walter Wayne, this is about who you are to everyone. Being a gentleman is about the way you act with everyone.
So with that, that's definitely gonna lead to chivalry. So we wrote a book, a poetry book, years ago called "The Rise and Fall of Chivalry" because we felt like chivalry was dying. And to be honest with you, I feel like chivalry is dead. We can debate that. But I think also a foundational core piece of being a good man is chivalry, right? And but here's the reason why I said chivalry is dying or chivalry is dead is because, like for me, talk about me, just me, I feel like I'm chivalrous quite often, if not all the time. And let me just talk about it from the aspect of women, right? I feel like I'm chivalrous in the sense of opening doors, doing certain things, right? We're just gonna talk about women, right? But I'm sorry to say this, some women, not all, y'all make it hard. Y'all make it hard to be chivalrous. And I'm saying that for a sense of like, there's so many times where, like the whole open the door thing, right? And I feel like every man should hold the door for every woman. If you go into a location and there's a woman behind you, it could be like for me instance, went to the movies, there was a woman behind me, and then there was a woman that was at least 20 yards away. I stood there and held the door for her too, right? Because I just feel like that's my responsibility as a man. That's a core foundation for me of being a good man, is that the chivalrous part. But I hate it to my core, Keith, when I do something like that. Even though you're not doing it for acknowledgement, you
I
don't
know you.
get it. It's like they just walk through, and then if it's another door, they don't even try to hold it open for you, or like just keep it open a little bit so you can put. They just go right through and keep going. It's like, why did I just hold the door for you? Why did I do all these
Hmm.
chivalrous acts for you if it's not being like noticed or cared for. But one thing I want to say about that is we don't do it to be noticed. We don't.
Yeah,
We shouldn't do it to be noticed.
yeah,
We shouldn't do it to be cared to have any type of response. But man, it makes you feel a certain way when you do those
yeah,
things and it's not taken right. Because back in the day, think about the nights. Not women wanted that
yeah.
the night doing everything perfect, chivalry. Even back in the 1800s, not early 19, people opened doors. No, it was like great. They felt great about it. It was like a great.
It was a
Nowadays, you
night's
hold door.
code.
Somebody is like, yeah. Nowadays, you hold door. Somebody is like nothing. It's like I don't know. Yeah, it
Now,
baffles me how chivalry works nowadays. It baffles me.
so it for me too. But this was a while ago. But I was on a date, um, and I believe that you should walk to the left side closest to the street. What the process is that so if it splashes, it hits you and doesn't hit the woman. And so I did that, and the one girl was looking at me like I was crazy. And then I held the door for her, and she thought I was looking at her butt. But here's the thing, though. I'm gonna push back a little bit on you because I
Go
can't
ahead.
blame women, right? I believe it's a dying art that women haven't had a chance to experience, right? I think
Nah.
it. I'm gonna say I think it's a dying art that this is my opinion that most women haven't had an opportunity to experience, and I'm not talking about the holding doors because I teach my sons that we hold it male, female, woman, child. If somebody's behind you, you hold the door for them. Doesn't matter. I don't care who it is. You hold the door,
It's a respect
right?
thing.
It's the respect. But I think there has been a. I feel like give an analogy that chivalry is grass and we pour grass and weed killer on it, right? I think, and it's just yellow, right? I think it's something that has not dead but is dying, but I don't think we can always pass the buck to women because I don't think most men do it or were taught it, right? I think that's causing some of the death, right? That is not something taught. Like you have some organization that taught young men how to be chauffeurs, how to set tables, how to court a woman, and those are few and far in between now. I think it's becoming a dying concept that women aren't having the opportunity to experience, and when they have the chance to experience, it's like, what is this? Now, your holding the door analogy, that's a whole different story. It bothers me like you. It bothers me to my core. Like when you hold the door and they just let the other door in front of you just slam it. It was like, okay. Um,
Bro,
there's just
it's a pet
yeah,
peeve of mine.
yeah. But I think we got to take some ownership of the dying breed. And people say there's a dying breed of good man. No, no, I don't think there's a dying breed of good man. I think there's a lack of training of what it means to be a good man. Which purpose this podcast?
No, no, no. I agree with you on that, and there's a number of reasons why. And I wasn't trying to blame it completely on women or all on women, but just some stuff for me where some stuff agitate me. But I agree that it didn't. The women didn't cause it, right? It started with fathers, right? Fathers in homes,
Mm,
fathers not in homes, fathers working too much, like not taking time out to make sure those things were priority, right? Of course, it started with us. I mean, 100% started with men.
mm,
But at some point in time, like we talk about walking left on the. I always walk to the street. Even with my son, when we're walking, I'm close to the street. If we
I did it with
cross
my
a certain
boys too.
way,
Yeah,
we switch hands all the
yeah,
time, right? So that's just something that's a thing for me. Um, and we have to take ownership of these certain things. But I'm big on everybody having accountability for everything, right? Everybody has
yeah.
accountability for everything.
Hmm.
We got to take ownership for all of it. Men have to take ownership for this thing dying. Women have to take ownership for this thing dying. Um, Parents have to take ownership for these things dying, right? Or grandmothers and grandfathers have to take ownership for this thing dying because, like you said, it's not being taught. It's not, but
Hmm.
it's also not being. accept it, right? And the reason because things have
Well,
changed over time and things aren't being.
but how do you accept something you've never experienced, right? I think that's difficult, right? I think it's even though sometimes things are good for you, but it's hard for you to accept that good thing because it's new and you're afraid of it. You're like, I don't. And so I think it's hard. I think it's easier said than done.
I gotta push back, man, because you telling me they've never experienced chivalry in their entire life? That's hard for me to believe, bro. It's hard for me to believe.
And I'm going
It's
to
hard for me to believe.
and I'm going to say most women probably have not. I'm going
We just going to
and
here we
yeah, we have to
two views. That's why we call it two views.
and I will stand on that because there are certain things that we call chivalrous that are just simply the right thing to do, right? Like there's certain things that
but
are
but
just
like you said,
simply
there
the
was a part of
right.
the knight's code, though.
Right, it was. What I'm saying, there's some certain things that we now that we I'm talking about. There's certain things that we consider. Oh, that's chivalry. No, that's chivalry is another layer of things. It's a higher level, and I don't think most women have experienced chivalry. What we talk about sometimes that women have experienced is just the right things to do. The right things that we should just right things we should just do as human beings, right? And I
But
think when you talk about holding the door, opening the car doors, helping a woman. A lot of women haven't experienced that, and that's because it's not taught. I'm not gonna blame us for that. I think it's the not being taught is part of the problem. I don't think a lot of men know the importance of that or how to do that.
let me just make this clear. I'm not blaming women for the lack of shit. I'm
Oh,
not blaming women for causing this, right? But I'm sorry. Yes, certain things I agree. It's just doing the right thing. But also when we talk about chivalry at one time was doing the right thing, right? That was chivalry, doing the right thing. But in the concept of how a man should present himself. I think what we're starting to do is dilute, or not dilute, but mask the right thing, and that discards chivalry, right? It discards chivalry because that's just the right thing to do. Oh, he just did it because it's the right thing to do. No, it's also a chivalrous thing to do, right? I don't keep. If I don't hold a door for you, is that a wrong thing? It's not a wrong thing.
right,
It's not wrong. It's you being an a hole, but it's not wrong. I'm not mandated
right,
to do it.
right,
I do it because I have a respect about me and I have a certain stance about me to do such and such. I'm not talking about just a woman. I hold the door for some men. There's a man behind me. Hey man, you go ahead, right? But it's just a thing, a part of me, that chivalry thing that we believe in. It's a part of us. That's why I think and I'm not gonna talk for you, but in my mind, it's the right thing to do because I had instilled in me chivalry, right? That's why to me it's the right thing to do.
and this gonna veer off a little bit, but let's just get to the crux of what you're saying. And maybe I'm wrong by thinking this, and as you said, the women accepting this concept of chivalry, and it could be this concept of the independent movement, right? But
We gotta talk about this one day.
yeah, no, we could talk about it now because I just want to say this before we jump back on the good man train. Women, you can be independent and still allow for a man to be chivalrous. I think a independent woman is one of the most beautiful things in the world. A
Absolutely.
strong-willed, independent woman, but that doesn't mean you don't have to. Uh, uh, you don't have to. How can I say this? Because I don't want to say allow. Allow isn't the word I want
Keith,
to
no,
use.
No, I got the word. I was gonna say this word once you finish. I got the word. Women, it is not wrong for you to demand a man to be chivalrous. You should
Uh,
demand it.
that wasn't where
No,
I was
you
going,
should.
but I was, I was
You
saying
should
where I was
demand, bro. What I'm saying though is like, man, we got too many dudes sitting on couches playing video games, not doing nothing for their women, bro. We got too
facts.
many dudes doing that, bro. The man's your man
Facts.
to get up and get it. Like the man respect for him to do what he's supposed to do as a man and
Right.
hold himself accountable and have that knighthood and have chivalry. Like demand him to do that. Like, bro, I hate unless he making money playing the video games. You should be playing the video games. And you ain't got no job, bro.
Right. My thing was I want in- independent woman. Being an independent woman is beautiful. It's beautiful. It's sexy, but that doesn't give don't give men the escape. Right. I think we kind of on saying the same thing, but don't give us to escape. I make my own money. I got my own house. Got my great. I'm happy for you, right? But you got to put in on this relationship, right? It's not like
I'm tell you.
you require us to invest in the relationship, right? And sometimes you can be so in. You can have the. I don't want to say so independent. You can be so keyed in on that independency that that it gives certain men an escape not to do what they're supposed to do as a man, right? So live your independency, love it, beautiful, sexy, right? But don't let us escape. Don't let us escape from being who we're supposed to be. And so many men right now are escaping.
Yeah, women, I want to put y'all up on some quick game. Y'all should already know this game is. Y'all know this saying. If you give a man an inch, he gonna take a mile. You allow your man to sit on that couch and not do nothing, he gonna sit on that couch and not do nothing for as long as he possibly can. Unless he's a chivalrous, upright man, which we're talking about, the good man who say, "Know what? I gotta protect, provide, and profess for everybody around me." That's my thought process. It's my core concept. I'm self-aware of who I am. Or another foundational concept of being a good man. I know. And let me get up off this couch. Let me make some calls. Let me hustle. Let me do my. But if you give a man an inch to do certain men an inch to not do certain things, to get away with certain things, oh, we gonna walk with it. We gonna
But let's
walk. We
flip,
gonna walk that tether line rope and long as long as it can go.
but let's flip back, man, because they don't
Right?
make it right, fellas.
No, no,
Fella,
no. It don't at
fella,
all. At all. At
right?
all.
Because I don't want no fellas to see this and be like, yeah, yeah. No, man. Just because I'm gonna put it
That
in the
wasn't no yeah
basketball term.
moment.
Yeah, yeah, right. One oh yeah moment. I'm gonna put it in the basketball term, bro. Just because, just because you got the lane, don't mean you have to lay it up, right? Just because
I'm
you,
trying to
just
tell
because
you.
you got the lane, don't mean you got to lay it up. And so often it's like, man, my girl give me all this freedom. So no, that don't make it right. That don't make it right because that shows who you are as a man, right? If you have freedom, if she has the trust to give you the freedom, and you out here wilding, bro, that's messed up, man.
Yeah,
And,
like
and,
yeah,
and this
yeah.
isn't
I,
judgmental
I, I,
because
I
we made those mistakes.
Yeah, I won't say that for y'all fellas out there to be like, man, no, man, you bogus. I'm telling you right. I'm telling you right now. I gotta speak to the men right now that's sitting on the couch right now and not hustling. Playing video games okay if you working and doing your thing, but if all you do is sit there and eat all the baby's food and play video game, hey, you are not a
Eating
good
all your
man.
fruit snacks and
You're
drinking all
actually a
your
horrible.
Capri Suns.
You can do better, man. You can do better, man. You got an obligation to be a good man. That's not being a
Yeah,
good man
that's
is
a
an
good word.
obligation.
That's a good
It's an
word.
obligation.
Obligation.
I'm gonna go. Once again, I'm apologetically Christian, so I don't care. When God put man on this earth, He didn't say, do whatever you want. Man had a job.
He was
Man
working the
had a
fields.
job the moment he came on the earth. Get up and go get a job.
Mm.
Somebody hiring. It's especially right now with all the labor shortages. Come on, man. You can't tell me ain't nobody hiring. I ain't trying to hear that.
Hey
I'm trying
man,
to hear
shout
that.
out. All right, shout out to the 85 Shout Show, man. Carlos Miller, Chico B, DC Young Fly, man. But you can't be sitting at home eating all those fruit snacks and drinking the Capri Suns, man. You gotta get out and do something. You know what I'm saying?
I'm
And
trying to tell
so
you, man.
the concept of the good man is taking ownership of who you are, what you strive to be, and holding yourself accountable to your fellow man and or those you have a relationship with, right? It's it's how you carry yourself. When, like John Walter Wayne said, it's how you carry yourself day in day out from point A to point B to uplift the fellow man, to uplift, to honor, to respect, to show high regard for the people that you come across, and that has to be who you are. It can't be a facade because for so long some of us, and me included, have been putting on a facade of what it means to be a good man. No, I can open. We were just talking about chivalry. I can open the door for you, walk on your left side, hold the door for you, pull out your chair, and be a jerk, right?
Absolutely.
I can be the most chivalrous guy you've ever dated and be a jerk, right? So it's not about chivalry is a component of what it means to be a good man, right? It's a component. But if you have that and not the rest of the parts, you you
Yeah.
you just you
And
just you.
and we can line it up with that and say, go back to what we said in our foundational core pieces: self awareness, being a protector, a provider, and a professor, and having chivalry, right?
Mhm.
To me, those are the foundational components of being a good man. Not a perfect man, a progressing man, not a faultless man, but a man who's trying to do his best, right?
Yep.
Who's obligated, who understands his obligation to be a good man and accepts it, right? So what I would like to say is for a man, be the pebble, right? What do I mean by be the pebble, right? You throw a pebble in the ocean or throw it in a puddle, it hits it, causes a ripple effect, man. Whoever you surround yourself with, kids, friends, family members, be the pebble. Show them what a good man is, what a good man looks like. Faults and all, right? Faults and all. Show them what the process looks like, so your sons can know what it is. So
Mhm.
your daughters can know what to
Know what
look
to look
for,
for. Yep.
right? Right? And so your friends can know what they need to do to raise their kids right. Be the pebble. Be the pebble.
And so, and I challenge anybody to. Kevin talked about being a protector, provider, and a professor, on top of being chivalry. I'm gonna tell you the components, some of the major components for us, and I challenge anybody to not find one of those four as essential in being a good son, being a good friend, being a good father, or being a good significant other. I want you to I challenge you to not to show me where those components are not involved in all of those areas. They are. They're all over those areas. Um, and if we want to change a generation, it starts with us looking inside of us and saying, "Am I protector? Am I provider? Am I professor? Am I practice chivalry? Do I? Am
Yeah.
I?" Go ahead.
That, and that's that first foundational point, self-awareness.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's where it starts. Because some of us, yeah, let's be honest, some of us think that we are God gives to women and ain't nothing wrong with us. No self awareness at all. No self. And that we talked about how we sit on, we're allowed to sit on the couch. We sit on the couch. We're allowed to take that layup. We take that layup, right? But that's because we're not self aware. That's because we don't understand the ripple effect. So let's go back to your pebble. Every time we do something, we're throwing a pebble and we're causing a ripple effect.
Yep.
What type of ripple effect are you causing? Right? What type of ripple effect are you causing? Um, and we have to become self-aware, um, to where we see when you become self-aware, um, you start seeing your deficiencies. And this is gonna be a bad analogy, bro, but I always think about Terminator and Skynet. When Skynet became self-aware, it starts seeing all the deficiencies of the human race, right? And that's why I started eliminating it, right? Self awareness allows you to see deficiencies and deal with those deficiencies. But I want to share something that's very critical about seeing those deficiencies. When you when you deal with the deficiency, other deficiencies show. Never fails.
Yep.
When you deal with a deficiency and you strengthen yourself in that area, it shows a weakness in another area. So this is a continual process. This is a continuous process, and it will be a continuous process until we leave this earth.
Yeah, man. So what I say, man, and tighten this up a little bit is that start with becoming self aware, man. Start with sitting back and say, let me look at myself a little bit. Let me see if I'm what I'm doing right, what I'm doing wrong, what can I do better. How can I what's going how am I affecting those around me? Like become self aware, like he said, like be self aware there, and then move on from there. And I guarantee you, once you become self aware, you understand where you are and where you stand. It's easier to move in those other areas. It's easy to move into protect, provide, profession into chivalry when you understand
And,
where you are. If you don't understand where you are, it's hard to move in that direction.
and that's why I push back on your some of the stuff about the women, because I think when we start talking about those things, it creates the lack of platform to become self-aware. I think I'm not saying us, but I think some men start to use that as an excuse, right? And it prevents us from becoming fully self-aware of our deficiencies, right? The only thing we can work on is us, and hope that everybody else that connected to us will adjust accordingly, right? And that's what I go back to what I first said. I had to make the changes for me. I had to make it for me, and in the hopes that I didn't lose everything, right? But in the hopes that if I did, I was still doing this for me. And so often we can put obstacles that make us say, okay, man, they acting like this or they doing this to me. But it's not about them. It's about what type of man you want to be.
Absolutely.
And that's different. That's different. It's gonna look different. Heck, I said, I'm gonna say, hell, we twins, and that looks different for us.
Yep.
So, man, to each their own, man. Find out who you are, and be self aware and make those adjustments accordingly. And I guarantee, if we can start doing that in ourselves, man, we'll come a long way.
Take aim. Like remember that. Take aim. You can't. You're not gonna be perfect, but aim to be. Aim to shoot for the goal. Aim to shoot for what's necessary. Right. Don't just you know say I'm not gonna be, so I'm not gonna do. Aim for it. Right. Yeah, man. That's it, man. For us, man. Being a good man. What does it take? We're on Two Views podcast, man. This was a good one. Good discussion. Like we said, we got our email address. You want to reach out to us, holler at us, ask a question, give us an idea on what we could debate on our Two Views top five. Whatever, hit us up, Two Views podcast at gmail.com. we'll respond. We need those other people that won't respond. So
Yeah, but yeah. Could you before we go, man, run down those components again, man. And tell me if I'm wrong. I'll run them down for you. Be self aware. You
self
got your
aware.
three P's and chivalry. All right.
Yeah,
Start with
those
start
are five foundationals.
start with the self awareness. Right. You can practice the three P's and that chivalry all you want, but if you're not self aware, you're gonna come back to the beginning. So self awareness, those three P's, run them down again. Protect.
Protect, provide, and profess.
Yep, and then practice chivalry, man. You practice your chivalry to your every man, right? Everybody you come
Yep.
across.
And real quick on that, what you just said about starting with self awareness, and then you can't do the other ones without self awareness because so many people where they feel like they protect and they provide and do all that, but get mad at their mate because something else missing,
Hmm.
right? You're not self aware from what else you're doing, right? You're doing those things, but you're not aware how else you're hurting your family, right? So you got to start with self awareness. Has to be first.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Hit us up, TuVues Podcast.
We
We
holla at
out.
y'all. Thank y'all for listening.